In this video series, we are going to create this website which have a drop area so the user can drop the files, drop the pictures to here and type some text. So for example, we can drop this picture to here and you can see this as the preview, and now we can type a text and then post. And now you can see the cars and also the posts appear on the right side. Now we are going to create a next project. So we type yarn create next app. And then we type learn dropzone. After we create a project, we can go to the inside the project by typing cd learn dropzone, and then we type code dot to open the VS Code. Now we are going to create a component, so we go to the public, go to the pages and go to create a new folder called components, and then under the components we create a new file called dropzone.js, and then we type RAFCE. Now we create this component, and then we back to the index, and then we remove this unnecessary div, and now we create our own div. And then we import the dropzone. So we type import the dropzone from the components dropzone. Now we go to the terminal and then we type yarn dev and then we type enter. Now we can see the dropzone this word, so we already import the component successfully. In this part we are going to install the react-dropzone package. So we copy this and back to our terminals, and then we click this symbol and then we paste this, and then we can go to here and it said we have to import the use dropzone. So we copy this and back to our dropzone component, and which is here, and we paste this import, and then we copy this and we paste to here, and we do not need the is drag active, and so we have to cancel this, and we just need one paragraph. And this on job functions is later we will go to use this function to handle the files that the user dropped to the dropzone. Now we are going to continue to add the onJob functions, and we are going to create a state to store the selected files. But first we can see there's an error that we haven't added the use callback from React, so we have to go back to here and import the use callback from React. So now you can see the use callback. And now we have to use the use state to create the state of selected files. So we use selected image and we use capitalized letters at here. And then inside these functions we go to set selected image, and then we type accept the file, and then we use the map functions. So we use object.assign to create an array, the image array. And then we use the preview properties and then we use the URL dot create object URL. Now we have the array of image. After we already create the image array, we are going to store these inside the div. So we create another constant, and the constant is selected image is equal to selected image dot map file. And for each file, we create a div. And inside the div, we have the image tag. And we use the file.preview as the source of the image. And the style is equal to width 200 pixel. And we have to set the initial state is an empty array for the selected image. So after we already create a selected image, and we have to add this under the drop zone. So we create a div, and under the drop zone we call the selected image. So we use this to output the image file, and we delete this colon. And now, for example, if we drag these two images to the drop zone, now you can see the two image preview appeared under the drop zone. Since we are going to upload the files to the firestore, so we have to go to the Firebase and do some setup. And we have to go to the console, and then we click create project, and then we type learn drop zone, and then we click continue, and then we disable the Google Analytics, and then we create a project. And since we will store the files to the storage, so we have to click on the storage, and then we click get started, and then we start in test mode and click next, and then click done and click done again. And we also have to go to the firestore since we will store our tests or the captions into the firestore. So we click create database, and we also click start in test mode. Now we already finished the setup inside the Firebase website. After we already set up the Firebase, we are going to connect the Firebase to our app. So we have to install another package, which is Firebase. So we type yarn Firebase, yarn add Firebase. And at the same time, we go back to our Firebase website and go to click on the web. And then we type a nickname. So again, we type learn drop zone, and then we register the app. So now we have these informations. So we have to add this to our config file. So we copy this, and at the same time we click continue to console, and we back to our project, and at the root folder we add firebase.js, and we paste to here. And we also need to import the get apps and also the get app. So we are going to check whether the apps already initialized. So we replace this with, if there is no app, then we are going to initialize. Otherwise, we get the original app, and then we are going to create a DB, and we are going to use the get firestore. And then the storage is equal to get storage, and then we are going to import the get firestore and also the get storage from the firebase because we already use these functions. So at last we have to export the app, the DB, and also the storage. So now we are going to check whether it can connect to our app. So we go back to the drop zone, and under the state we just type console log db and db, and then we also console log the storage. So we import this from the firebase config file, and let's check we already start the server. And if you go back to the website and go to inspect and go to the console, now we can see the DB already exists and also the storage also exists. So now we already connect to our firebase. In this part we are going to create an input field at here so the user can type something and then click the post button and post to the firestore. So we back to our project and we go to the drop zone components and go to the rendering part, and then right before the selected image we create the input field and we add the placeholder is equal to enter a caption, and under this we create a button and type the post. Now we already has the input field and also the post button, and now what we want to do is to get the value of the input field, so we have to create a reference. So we use the useRef and we type caption ref and we type the null, and we back to the input field and type ref is equal to caption ref, and then we are going to prepare to post to the firestore. So we have to import the add dot the collections and also the server timestamp from firebase firestore. Now we can create the upload post function. So we type constant upload post is equal to async, and then we create the dot ref is equal to await add dot, and we go to the collections and we want to name these collections as post, and what we want to post is one of the property is captions, and the value is the caption ref dot current dot value, and the other property is timestamp, and the value is server timestamp. So now we want to bind this upload post function to the button. So we go to the button and we type on click is equal to upload post. So now we can have a try, and we have to import the useRef from React. And now if we type first try and click post, now we go to the firestore, and now we can see the post that we just created with the captions and also the timestamp. Now we already can upload the post to the firestore. What we are going to do is to upload the image, and we want to get the path of the image and set it to the post. So we have to edit the upload post functions. So we go to the upload post, so which is here, to import the necessary functions, and we delete this async, and we also have to import the ref, the get download URL, and also the upload byte. So now we go to the upload post, and then at the end of the .ref, we create the await, and which is promise.all, because we have to wait all the image upload and then do the following things. So we add a bracket, and then we select for selected image, and for each of the image we create the image ref, and we will store it inside the storage, and with the path equal to post and the ID which is equal to the document ID, and this is the image name. After we already have the image ref, we are going to upload the image. So we use upload byte, and then we pass the image ref and the image and the data URL. And after we already upload, we want to get the download URL. So we use async, and then we create a constant download URL is equal to await get download URL, and we get it from the image ref. So after we already get the URL, we will update the document. So we will have the image at the post document. So we type await update dot, which we already import. We have an import on the top, so we have to import on the top. So we get update dot from the firestore, and then the document that we want to update is from the database, and the collection is post, and which document we want to update is refer the document reference.id. So what we want to update is the image, and we use the array union. So we will just like pushing the new download URL of each image. So after we do all the upload, we want to clear the input field and also the preview image. So we do not want the text still here and also the image still append. So after the end of the promise.all, we set the input field is equal to empty, and also set the selected image to be an empty array. So now we can have a try. So I just drag this to profile picture, and then I type some text and try to post. Now you can see it disappear. And if we go back to our firestore and we go to here, now we cannot see the image appeared at the document. This is because we forgot to import the document at here. So we back to our project, and we have to go to the top and import the doc and also the array union, which we have used it inside our function. We do not need to put this because we already add this. So now we can delete this document, and we try to do it again, and click post. Now we can see we have the caption and also the image array and also the timestamp. Now we already can upload the text and also upload the image. So now we are going to load the image and also the text at the right hand side. But first we have to use the TailwindCSS. So we go to the Tailwind documentations, and we can see how to install the TailwindCSS. And because we already created a project, so we can skip the step 1 and go to the step 2. So the first is we use the npm install the TailwindCSS. So we go to the terminal and paste the npm install inside the terminal, and then we copy this and paste to the terminal, and this will generate the Tailwind config and also the post CSS config, and we have to copy these to our tailwind.config.js. So we back to the tailwind.config.js, and we replace this with what we just copied, and then we go to the styles folders, and inside this it has a global.css, and we copy this and paste to the global.css. So now we are going to create a component, and this is for displaying the post. So we create a new file, post.js, and then we type rafce, and then we go back to the index, and we go to here, and then we have to use the tailwind.css, and now we type the class name is equal to flex, and because we want to use the flex box, and then we type another div, and this is used to wrap the drop zone, and then we create another div for wrapping the post. So we use the padding of 5, and we have the background color of gray, and we use the height of screen, and the width is 100%. And now we go to import the post component, and here we also want to make a padding of 5. So now we can remove this, and we should type yarn def, and now we can see the post on the right side with gray background, and the drop zone is on the left side. So we already import the post component successfully. In this part, we are going to load the post from the firestore. So we go to the post component and import the necessary functions from the firestore, including the collections on snapshot, order by, and query. And we also need to import the DB from our firebase file. So in order to load the post from the firestore, we have to use the use effect, and we also need to import from React. So first thing is we create a constant, and this is the collection ref is equal to collection and db, and we are going to get from the post collections, and then we make a query which is equal to query, and we pass the collection ref, and which is order by timestamp, and we use the descending order, and then we create another constant unsubscribe, which is equal to, and first we have to create a state to store the data. So we use the use state, and then we use the post and set post, and we create an empty array, and then we are going to do the unsubscribe is equal to on snapshot, and then we pass the query, and then we map through the documents from the query snapshot, and then instead of just passing the document.data, we are going to spread through the data, and then we add two properties. One is the ID, and this is from the document.id, and the other is the timestamp, and the timestamp can get by using the .data, .timestamp, and today, and .get time. So now we have two additional data. So after we do the query, we have to do the cleanup after at the end of the use effect, and then we remove this, so this has the empty dependency. So we go to the render part, and instead of just type the post, we are going to use the map through the functions, the map functions, and then we type post.map post, and then we render div, and inside the div we have another div with class name equal to text large, and then we output the post.captions, and for the map through functions we have to pass the key, so we use the post.id as the key. So it said we cannot resolve the DB from the Firebase, so we try to remove this, and we import the DB from another path, and we have to import the useDate from React. Now you can see we can load the caption from the firebase. As you can see, we have the caption profile pictures and the other post with the caption first try. So now you can see these two words on the right side of the website. We already load the text from the firestore. We also want to render the image from the firestore or from the storage. So we have to go back to the post component, and then we are going to import the image from next image. So we import image from next image, and this is ready to render the image from the firestore. And after the post.doc caption, we want to render the image, so we create another div, and now you can add the flags, and this is the flags box and the space of X with 3 units, so the horizontal spacings has 3 units. And what we do is, because we are going to create a constant which will render the image, so this may render more than one image, so each of them has the spacings of 3 units in between, and because it is flags box, we have the flags class, so it will render in a row. So now we are going to create the functions of post image. So we copy this name and go to the top, and we add the constant post image is equal to, for each of the posts, we are going to create a post image, and then we use the post.image.map, and this is going to prevent that some image haven't been loaded when calling these functions, because this is from the firestore. So for each of the file, we are going to render a div. The class name is equal to relative, and the width is full. And now we are going to use the Next.js image, and the source is the file, and the layout is fill, object fit is cover. So now we are going to render the image, so we need to return this bunch of div. So now you can see it has the error that we haven't added the config, so we have to copy this and back to the next.config.js, and then we add these properties image, and the domain is, we just copy from here. So now we have to restart the server. So we type yarn dev again. We cannot see the image because we forgot to add the height. So now we can see the image, but this is not very pretty, so we have to add some styles to the div to control the post. The class with background white and round corner, and with shadows, the paddings, and the width is 50%, and the margin auto, so it is at the center of the right side, and we also have margin bottom 4 units. So now we can see the post is much prettier, but now we have to add one more thing, which is the timestamp. So here we have to stop the server again and add the package called moment. And at the end of the image, we are going to add another paragraph which shows the timestamp, and the timestamp has the class test right, so it will push to the right side of the post, and we use the moment to wrap the timestamp dot from now, so it will show the times. So for example, how many days from now. But we also have to import the moment, so we click, and then we can see it already import the moment from moment. So we type yarn dev, and now if we refresh the page, Now we can see it has a day ago, and this is 2 days ago. And I try to add some margin top of 5 unit, so it will have some space in between, and this is much better. In this part, we are going to add the style to the drop zone, so it should not just have one line. It should, like the documentations, add the styling drop zones, and you can see the drop zone that you usually see is like this. It should be a box for the user to drag and drop the image. So we can now copy the styling drop zone, and we copy the base style, focus style, and also the reject style, and go to the drop zone component, and under the caption ref we paste the styles here. Now we copy these 3, and then we go to use drop zone, and then we also copy the style, and then we copy this style and paste to the get wood props. So we find the get wood props, and you can also see it has the accept image only. So I think we already add the style, but we forgot to import the use memo. So now you can see the drop zones already have the style, and we can try to drag some files on it. So if we drag the image, you can see it accepts the drag image. But if we drag the same file, but which is the video file, you can see it has the style of red color or the red borders, and it do not allow to paste to the drop zone. So this is how to style the drop zone. Now what we left here is we haven't styled the input box and also the buttons. So now we are going to style these 2 things. So firstly, back to the dropzone.js, and we go to the input field, and which is here, and at this place we go to add the styles, and this is using the TailwindCSS. And now we have the border, and this is rounded. So if we save it, now you should see this is a round corners appeared. There is a slight border, and we also make the focus ring is 0. So if we click on this, there is no ring appeared, and the width is full, which is 100%, and the text is extra small. So you can see the placeholders. The text is smaller than before, and it has some paddings, and which is using P3, the paddings, 3 units, and we use vertical. So we go to the button, and then we go to add the class name, and the hover is background blue, and the text is blue. So if the mouse over it, it will become blue in colors, and when mouse over it, the text will become white in color. So it has a white text and blue background when mouse over it. So now you can see if we mouse over it, the text color become white and the background color will become blue. And if we do not mouse over it, it will have the blue text color. And the font is semi-bold, and you can see the padding. Horizontal padding is smaller than the vertical padding is smaller than the horizontal padding. So now you can see this is smaller, and the padding on the horizontal is greater, and the border is blue in color, and it also has the round corner. So now you can see the style of the buttons, and also we also styled the input field. So now if we drop a picture and then we type the title and post again, now you can see it appeared on the right side. And so we finished how to create the drop zones and load the title and also the picture from the firestore.